Covert Ops, Danger on the Island. Written by Steve Barker. Narrated by Noah Rapson. Acknowledgements. Thank you to Pauline Carter Rapson, George James, Simon Munnery, Derek Barker, George Holland, for their help with this book. It has been several months since the last mission on St Halb, and there has been little excitement since. The gelt from the previous job came in handy, even managed to pay off all the arseholes who were demanding money from me. Even took a little R&R with a 30-day cruise around Asia. For the rest of the dosh, I upgraded my caravan to a lodge. Even invested a substantial amount in what I believed a fantastic investment scheme called Sirius BTC. But like most things I touch, this turned out to be a scam run by a tugboat captain in Panama. Like most people, I always needed more money, but I'm missing the thrill and danger of executing a mission, if the truth be known. Fortunately, Simon is arranging a potential job with somebody he met in his army days. Now I come to think about it, Simon appears to know a lot of the wrong type of contacts, or from our perspective, the right kind. Oh well, almost lunchtime, and I'm bored and, for some reason, in a bad mood, so going to take myself down to the local tavern for a few wet ones, and being too lazy to cook food, grab a meal as well. Unfortunately, the campsite facilities are closed for the winter, and with no access to my usual drinking establishment, I needed a new place on the island to frequent. On one of my many walks to ease stress levels caused by the bloody PTSD, I stumbled across a pub not too far to walk, or more importantly, stagger back home after far too much to drink. The public house is set back from the road, with a sizable patio section to the front, which had several wooden benches scattered around the place. On entering, the wooden bar is immediately in front of you, and what I love, a massive log fire off to my right surrounded by huge brown leather sofas that you could slouch in for hours. More tables occupied by young couples and a small gathering of around 6 lads are off to the left. All appeared to be having a fantastic time, considering the amount of laughter coming from them. Single men, either staring blankly at the array of bottled spirits lining the back wall, or down at their half-filled glasses, crammed the bar area. Lucky for me, one space remained at the far right end, so I squeeze myself in and attract the bar person's attention. On the way into the place, I overheard someone call him Gary. "Hi Gary, a pint of John Smith's, please." "Sure, coming right up." Turned around to go over to plonk my arse near the fire when I spot the young men had relocated to the sofas, bastards. The joint is packed with people having a terrific time, so only one thing for it. Act like the rest of the men slumped along the bar and stare into empty space while sitting on a bar stool. Been sitting minding my own business for 20 minutes or so when I sensed some person knock into my arm. Turning my head to the right to discover one of the youngsters managed to squeeze themselves into the gap to my right. It must be his lucky day. He'd not spilt any of my beverage, so let this go for now. Through the mirror on the wall, past the rows of neatly positioned spirits, I watch as the cheeky fucker grabs my glass of beer, his second mistake. Then, still looking straight ahead, "Excuse me, mate, you will find that's mine." He finishes off the third and final mistake. "And what are you going to do about it, old man?" I raise myself up on the stool, grabbing the back of the man's head with both hands, and slam his head with as much force as I could muster into the counter. Grabbed the glass and what was left of my drink from his blood-stained, limp body as it slipped to the floor. "So you wanted my beer? Well, here it is," as I pour the remaining beer from the half-filled glass over his face. The man should be thankful. This helped wash the blood from a broken nose. Turned to glance at his so-called mates, now shitting themselves, motionless on the sofas close to the fire. "Want to say anything, arseholes? Good. I'm in no mood for this shit today." Suppose now I need to find another boozer. About to leave when Gary grabbed my attention. "They deserved that. Please come back any time." "Thanks, Gary, I will." Then leave the pub and make my way along the high street in the direction of home, stopping at the food store to purchase a few pies, as that idiot in the drinking establishment prevented me from having the planned meal. Instinct found me looking in all directions as I exited. To my right, the youths from the boozer were trying their best to blend into the crowd. To the trained eye, they stood out like spare pricks at a wedding. Maybe they found some courage near the bottom of a glass. Not sure if they intended to jump me or not, so I enter another shop only to reappear seconds later. Yep, confirmed. They'd stopped again, but closer this time. Now formulating a strategy in my head, I take the next left as I knew of a road that ran parallel to the main street. The plan was simple: come up from behind, taking them out separately. Now sprinting as fast as possible, I head down the road, need the element of surprise. So turn left, then left again, and find myself behind the group. The man at the rear, by my reckoning, must be about 5 feet 6 inches tall and overweight for his size and age. I bet he is the one who ate all the pies. Moved up fast behind him, fling my right arm tightly around his neck, and drag him back into the side road. As I release my grip, I swing him round and land several hard, well-aimed punches to his face, knocking him to the ground. The man's swollen, tearful eyes stare up at me as he pulls his legs in tight to his body. Then, with a trembling voice, "Please don't hurt me anymore. I'm just doing what the others wanted." "Okay, you fat fucker. If you can comprehend what's good for you, stay where you are for the next half an hour. If you come after me, I will kill you. Nod, if you understand." With his eyes fixed directly on me, he nods. Right. Time to take out the bloke who appears to be the instigator of this little episode of courage. Work out that by the time I had finished with the fat boy, the other two would be past the place I initially turned left, so once again sprint down the back road and turn right at the end just as they pass, continuing their way along the high street. Perfect. I didn't have time to separate the pack, so I launch at the biggest of the two, the resulting force hurtling him to the floor, smashing his head vigorously against the concrete slabs of the pavement. Not giving him time to recover, I plant several powerful kicks to his face and stomach, ending in him crying out in agonizing pain while blood drips from the gash on the back of his head. Then, expecting an attack from the other one, I turn on my heels to face him, but he'd run off into the distance. My attention turns back to the man on the floor. "Want some more, you little fucker?" The man remains motionless in silence, blood oozing between the fingers of his hands where his head rested on them. With no more response, leave the scene and head off home. Reminded by the growling in my stomach why I'd gone into the shop, I am still hungry, so remove the clear plastic package from my jacket's inside pocket. The cheeky fuckers squashed my pasty, but hey, food is food. Due to the idiots, I left the pub a lot sooner than planned. So now, a simple case of what to do for the rest of the day. Might as well pick up several beers from the supermarket and make this a movie afternoon. Right. The beer nicely cooling in the fridge. Time to select a training film or, as some people call it, a war film. But what is surprising is what bits of information are available in these movies for people in my line of work. For example, many years ago, I learned how to make a light bulb explode while watching said films. Trust me, the process is simpler than you might think. All you need is a syringe and a little petrol to make your own electrical IED. Been slouched on the sofa acting like a zombie for several hours when the phone starts to sing its merry head off in the kitchen. One day, I'm going to learn to put the bloody thing next to me. Can't be bothered to move, so I let the irritating thing ring away. If it were important, they would call again. Well, it must have been, as the annoying phone only shut the fuck up for 5 minutes before it rings again. Better remove my fat, lazy ass from the sofa and answer it, I suppose. Bet that it is Simon. He is the only one who calls back straight away. Pick up the mobile. "Hi, Simon. How may I be of assistance on this lethargic afternoon?" Or it would be if I didn't have to get up to answer the fucking phone. "Well, good afternoon to you too, Steve. You should keep your mobile closer like most normal people. But sorry, you are not normal, are you? Are you free to talk, or are you busy doing nothing sitting on your fat ass?" "Always got time for you, mate. What's the problem?" "No problem, Steve. Remember a while back when I said a friend of mine has some work we might be interested in? Well, now it's become apparent that the task needs to be completed within the next few weeks. So when are you available to discuss?" "Available any time, Simon." "In that case, I will grab George, and we will pop over to the Isle of Wight tomorrow. Can you pick us up from the ferry?" That's kind of you. So what's the matter, your polo donkey gone lame? Second word is off, Steve. Looks like today hasn't been a complete washout. Now Simon has come up with more work. Now the boys are coming over. Better sort out the spare rooms. Then take a look at what's happening on the food front. A glance in the fridge confirms my fears. Empty. So now I'm going to have to go back to the shops. On the positive note, it is now early evening, and many of the rude trolley pushers, you know the ones, aim right for you and barge you out of their way, ought to have done their shopping and gone home. That is because the older generation typically complete their buying early morning. Shit. The place still appears to be busy, but nevertheless, I need to go in. There will be no time in the morning. Right. Remember what one of your therapists, Steve Alexander, was constantly bleating on about, do your breathing exercises. Stop about 20 meters from the door and take a long deep breath for 7 seconds. Hold it for 5, then breathe out for the count of 6. I do this 10 times before making my way into the store. Once inside, I am confronted with the sight of shoppers busy rearranging boxes of goods on the shelves before reaching the back to find the longest best before date. I never understood the point of all this nonsense, as you didn't eat food in date order. My plan to keep the arseholes away is to walk with the basket sticking out from my right or left hip, depending on which row of neatly stacked produce I intended to walk down. This worked, and I soon had everything I need, so I joined one of the long queues at the tills. Must have been stood carefully surveying everyone around and deciding which one to take out first, if any action is required. As they say, attack is the safest form of defense, when I sense someone's hand shove me forward. Definitely not in the mood to take shit from anyone today, so I turn around to confront the brave idiot for some forceful negotiations with my right fist, ready to open the discussions. Whoever it is must have regretted their actions, as nobody appeared within about 3 meters of me. Lucky for them. Once home, grab a cold beer from the fridge, plonk my arse on the sofa, and get Alexa to switch on the TV. Overcome with the sudden desire for some light entertainment, so end up binge-watching A Touch of Frost, by far the best show David Jason ever made.